I'd like to welcome everybody to the ordinary meeting of Mount Isa City Council. The time is 10 a.m. and I now declare the meeting open. Mount Isa City Council acknowledges the Kalkadoon and Indulgence people, traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We extend this respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are here today. Recording of the council meeting. Please note this ordinary meeting of Mount Isa City Council may be live streamed and be recorded in accordance with the council recording of council meeting policy. As a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in chambers, it is assumed that your consent is given if your image is inadvertently broadcast. I'd just like to start off by saying, on behalf of council, I would like to take this opportunity to offer our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Merrell Manners, who recently passed away. Merrell was a deeply respected and much loved member of the Mount Isa community for several decades. He was a long-term minister and reverend of the Mount Isa Anglican Church, and he was a joint owner of the Mount Isa Home and Garden Centre. Merrell also regularly conducted prayers before council ordinary meetings. He was a wonderful, caring individual who will be greatly missed by many in our community. I'd now like to ask Pastor David Quilty from Isa Community Church to grace us with a prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Slade, for commenting on Merrell Manners as pastors of the community of Mount Isa. We also give our love and support to the family at this time. We so appreciate you mentioning that. I was going to do that today as well. We take it very seriously. We have the opportunity to pray at our council, and we thank you for the opportunity we have to do that. We think it's important to cover our community and our council with prayer. So I'd like to pray for us today. Today we come in seasons of challenge and uncertainty, and many look to elected officials to lead us through this time. We pray we grant our mayor and all who serve on the council wisdom and courage as they navigate the days ahead. Help them to govern with integrity and fairness. For the scripture reminds us that to whom much is given, much will be expected. May the weight that is carried by the mayor and the councillors be a reminder of the importance of their work. But ultimately we must look to our Creator, hear His voice. Hear the voice to care for the disconnected, the homeless, the outcast and the lost. To live our lives giving grace to those around us. To lift people up, to value family, truth, faith and freedom. So may this council today, this meeting, and all who administer here today be blessed. And may they bring life and hope to the community of Mount Isa. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. That was a fantastic prayer. That takes us now to item number 3, which is apologies and leave of absence, and today we have none. And which then leads into item 4, which is public participation, and I definitely have one member of the public who has written in, and I invite him to speak, and hopefully we'll get a microphone to you. It is, and can we ask you to use a microphone because then it gets on our live stream as well. Okay.
Yeah, Brett Peterson.
Just a bit more to you.
Brett Peterson, yep. Brett Peterson, 26 Elver Street. I suppose the question I have today is in regards to vandalism and crime in Mount Isa. To date, the past 12 months, we've had over 5,572 offences in Mount Isa under the postcode of 4825. I suppose when you start to walk through the city, it doesn't matter whether it's at night or during the day, you start to see the escalation in regards to not only graffiti and vandalism. This isn't only of every business, I suppose, and every business in the CBD, but it's up, including. We were actually driving past Outback at Isa the other day at 5:30 in the afternoon, and on the walls of the Outback at Isa. people have actually put fences up to try and secure their property, to try and keep, I suppose, this filth off the streets and out of their property. At the end of the day, these fences are then vandalised. And as I said, it's businesses as well. We're coming through the hot part of the season. That's starting to become behind us. We'll start to move in and we'll start to see tourists actually visiting Mount Isa. I personally don't want to see Mount Isa as the next town, something like Tennant Creek or other places across Australia. I really want to see Mount Isa take off. I suppose it could be said that it's not a council problem, but at the end of the day, we could be the city that actually takes that step forward and starts to produce, I suppose, a step forward for other councils to look at on what we can do and how they can do it. Happening in regards to feeding and crime in Mount Isa at the moment.
Thank you, Brett. And Brett used to be a councillor on the Mount Isa City Council for how many years, Brett?
8.
Sorry. Brett, how long were you councillor on the Mount Isa City Council for?
Deputy Mayor and 8 years as a councillor.
So 12 years and 4 years as Deputy Mayor, so you definitely understand. Well, thank you for writing in, because that gave us an opportunity to put a letter together to give to you. So there's a couple of things. I'll read this letter, but also I have made some notes. So we've basically, as a council, we've increased the CCTV coverage throughout the central business district, working with police to identify young people involved in vandalism and other activities throughout the CCTV network, and subsequently have had these young people charged, offering to be involved in restorative justice process with young offenders, so getting them to come and clean off the graffiti, that sort of thing. Advocating to Minister Ryan in relation to increasing police numbers in Mount Isa. Advocating to the Minister for Youth for additional funding for activities. A number of meetings with government agencies and not-for-profits. Council is now involved in the Transition to Success program through Youth Justice. Transition to Success T2S is a training program for young people of 15 and over who are involved in youth justice system or are assessed as being at risk or entering it. Council is upgrading play areas and sporting facilities to attract more young people to be active, such as upgrading of the skate park, the pump track and the ninja facility, splashes, and later this year, the family fun park. Council has made an application for the development of a youth strategy, and hopefully that funding may be announced very soon. Where resources allow, graffiti has been removed from footpaths and other council assets. So I'm going to sign that and give that to you, Brett. One of the things that we've tried to do as a council is bring everyone to the table. So one of the things I did was reach out to the liquor accord. Now, if you don't know what the liquor accord is, it's all the hotels get together and talk about challenges and how they can work together. And so the council asked them if they could enter into a gentleman's agreement and bring in some sort of restrictions that were a little bit similar to the Northern Territory, because one of the challenges we have at the moment is we have a lot of Northern Territories coming into Mount Isa and are camping in our Leichhardt River. So at one point we had 400 people there that were mostly identified from other communities and definitely to the Northern Territory. We actually reached out to the Northern Territory, and we've had probably 4 or 5 meetings with the local government and police about getting people back to country. It was really concerning because COVID was there and people being vaccinated. So there was a lot of issues that we were trying to bring up. The other thing that is and people don't often identify this, but housing. So we have a housing shortage, not just in Mount Isa, but in all the communities around us. I won't talk about Northern Territory, but all the communities around us have this huge housing shortage. So we are being inundated by different communities looking for housing. So they're coming to Mount Isa, and definitely overcrowding in some of our suburbs. which we've identified as one of the main reasons some of the children are roaming the streets, because they've got too many people in their home, maybe not feeling safe. And so this is a big issue. And one of the things I did last year is I went to the Western Alliance of Councils, which is 22 councils sort of inland of Queensland. And I talked about housing and how a lack of housing in the communities is impacting not just Mount Isa, but Cairns and Townsville, because we've got people from all these communities trying to get housing and overcrowding, family, friends, and even coming to our Leichhardt River. So this is something that the state government have been in contact, and they're actually looking at an additional 100 houses within the northwest, which is really good news. We obviously need a lot more than that, but Mount Isa's really trying to cope with that. And one of the hard things for us, and this is why we really publicised it, was if you look at Mount Isa's stats, you know, we've got a very low Indigenous community, which is not true. So we're not capturing statistics properly for our Indigenous, and all our funding is based on Indigenous. The housing's based on so it's really wrong. So we, as a council, got really proactive in trying to help when get the stats when what's it called, the census was here last year. We were very proactive in trying to get the community to fill out those forms, because really there's more money, more police, more health. Everything comes with those stats. And just to get the message out there that there's no big brother sort of mentality here. It's we need these stats to prove that we have these population that we have. So one of the things I did do, and I've touched on it, is I went to the Minister for Children and Youth Justices, Leanne Leonard. I went to the Minister for Mark Ryan for Police. I also went to the Minister for Housing. I also talked to Assistant Minister for Local Government, Nikki Boyd. And I talked about housing, the overcrowding, and how that was impacting on the kids being on the streets. I talked about the homelessness. I talked about the youth crime and vulnerable children. I also talked about how there was a lack of us understanding who was funded for what and what services that we're providing in the community. And that, I think that's important, because sometimes we don't know who we should be ringing to get involved. The other thing we've done is we've tried to have like a vulnerable persons meeting where we get the police, health, housing, child safety, everyone to the table, and we talk about, you know, where we're at, which I think is really important, because a lot of times they can run solo and not be a united front. And I think the only way to solve some of the issues we're in at the moment is to be a united front and everybody working together. I think the only thing I have missed is that, you know, if we went out in the street today, I think we could find at least 50 children that weren't at school. So it's really on the schools to identify what children aren't going and to fix that. But the problem is that I see is that a lot of these kids have never been registered in Mount Isa school, so no one's looking for them. Now, that does need to be addressed, because the key to all this is getting these kids back to school. That is the way we're going to fix this. So we do, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we shouldn't expect a different result. So we really do need to look at different ways to manage this. There's enough people here that really care and really want to, you know, putting a lot of time and effort to try and fix it. So we really do need to come together as a community and try and fix this. And yeah, I'm glad you brought the question up, because it is something we can't do on our own as a council. And as you know, as being a councillor and a deputy mayor, well, there's only so much we can do as a council, but we would love to be involved. And we certainly, you know, I certainly am a victim of the vandalism myself. So I know the community's frustrated, and we really do need action, and we need it as soon as possible. So thanks, Brett. I will sign this and give you this letter, and let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. I'm more than happy to talk about youth crime and how we can be involved.
Thanks very much.
sign that. Okay, so that now, if there's no more from the gallery, I will now go to item number 5, which is a confirmation of previous minutes meetings. Can I get someone to move the officer's recommendation, please?
Moved.
And the officer's recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 27th of January 2022 be received and the recommendations herein adopted. Can I get someone to second that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Councillor Barwick. Any comments on this one? And I'd just like to mention in the last minute meeting, Councillor McRae asked about a state government body paying for the use of the Civic Centre, and we got confirmation that they did indeed pay for that, the use of the Civic Centre. So I'd just like to reiterate that that was the outcome. If there's no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us now to item 6, actions from previous council meetings. Would anyone like to move that motion?
I'll move, Madam Mayor. I'll move that council receives and notes outstanding actions from previous council meetings as at 16th of February 2022.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us to item 7, which is declarations of conflict of interest. I now invite councillors to declare any conflicts of interest that now are part of the ordinary meeting.
I have a conflict 10.2 and I'll be leaving the room for that.
Thank you, Councillor McRae.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have a conflict with 10.3 and I'd like to stay in the room with the other councillors.
Thank you. And what was your conflict, Councillor?
That Councillor King Coglin's son works for my business.
Thank you. Is this what we
I have
passed?
a declarable conflict of interest for 11.9.
Sorry, Councillor Fortune, can we go backwards? Councillors, someone needs to move that Councillor Stratton remain in the room.
Would someone like to move that?
Yeah, I'll move.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Through the chair, I have a conflict of interest.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry, George.
Thanks, Councillor Coghlan. Thank you. I have a declarable conflict of interest for 11.9 for the Lake Mandara Advisory Committee, and I will ask the councillors to remain in the room and participate in discussion and voting.
Can I get someone to put forward that motion?
I'll put forward the motion that Councillor Fortune stay in the room for that 11.9.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I get someone to second that motion?
Second, Stratton.
Thank you. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillor Tully?
Through the chair, I have a prescribed conflict of interest for 14.1. Pacifica Chartered Accountants are my accountants, and I will be leaving the room.
Through the...
Yeah. Would someone like to move that motion?
No, there's
No, it's not a motion.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
okay.
leaving, so-
Through the chair, I have got a conflict of interest with 10.3 as I'm the subject of the complaint referral to council, so it's a prescribed and I will be leaving the room.
Okay.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, full house today. I've got a conflict of interest at 10.4, and I'd like to leave the room as well, please,
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
for that item. Thanks.
And I have a conflict with 10.2 and 10.3. It's prescribed and I will be leaving the room, and that is with an OIA investigation and complaint.
Chair, did I need to elaborate on my conflict?
Through you, Madam Mayor, wouldn't hurt.
Yes, mine's prescribed and I'm the subject of a complaint in 10.2.
Leaving?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just need to be very clear. I appreciate the councillors, the Mayor and Councillor McRae and Councillor Coghlan have put down prescribed. The advice from the department was that They weren't necessarily prescribed, and you could ask the councillors for you to remain in the room, but you would not be able to vote, and you would not be able to speak to it. So I'm just reinforcing what the department popped through.
Can't remember which one I put.
So again, if councillors wanted, if councillors sought the advice, they would say that, yeah, it's a declarable, is the view from the department, and if councillors want to stay in the room, they'd need to be voted to stay in the room, but they would not be able to participate in the vote, and they would not be able to provide comment on the reports. That's the advice from the department.
Just sorry, through the chair, when you prescribe a conflict of interest, aren't you supposed to declare what it is?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, I agree with the declaring the prescribed one. I'm making the councillors aware that in our discussions with the department, they said they were declarable.
So has everyone declared it?
No, at this point in time, Councillor McRae, Councillor Coghlan, and the Mayor have identified their conflict as a prescribed.
Okay, so, well, I will change mine to a declarable, and I'll be leaving the room, please.
So yours is what?
From what you said, mine is declarable, and I'll be leaving the room, voluntarily leaving the room.
That's fine.
I think I put actually declarable, and I'll, yes,
Fine.
and I'll still leave the room.
Well, I actually put prescribed because the matter relates to an application or a submission to council. Like, I thought it would run along those lines, but if, I just don't, I don't know, I think mine's prescribed. But if the office has said it's a declarable interest, I will change mine to declarable, but I won't be staying in the room, I'll be leaving the room.
Thank you.
Thank you. We covered everyone now? Okay, thank you. So that takes us now to item 8, which is the Mayoral Minute. And before I read it out, I'll just give you some background. So every month I'm going to be putting forward a Mayoral Minute. It's just in a matter. It's just really being, transparent with what's happening at council, what's been going on, and hopefully giving the community a screenshot of what takes place. And the councillors have also been asked to actually, when appropriate, submit also the same thing with talking about the committees they're on and what they've been up to. So I know the Deputy Mayor has also got something this month. So that's something we're hoping to develop over time and hopefully just give the public a bit of a snapshot into what we're doing. So this is my Mayoral Minute. It's hard to believe we are already halfway through February 2022. This year's flying. Mount Isa City Council has hit the ground running, and I would like to take this opportunity to update the community on several projects. The Family Fun Park, a $5.1 million upgrade. This design has been awarded to LA3 and is expected to be completed by the end of April 2022. This project will then progress to the community consultation. While Council is doing everything possible to speed up the process, the completion of the Family Fun Park is scheduled for November 2022. Centennial Place project, approximately $3.6 million. The design has been confirmed and the project is now progressed to the tender stage. Camberwell, the new toilet block. The installation of a new 4-cubicle toilet block at the caravan and the caravan dump point at the Camberwell rest stop, which is on the Barclay Highway, and that will begin in April. The project is expected to take 4 weeks to complete and will be finalised in May. Buchanan Park, a new abolition block, which is approximately $940K. This installation of a new toilet block at Buchanan Park with 7 toilets and several showers is scheduled to begin in April. The abolition block will help to service the Showman's Guild and the rodeo competitors. This project was made possible thanks to the Council's successful funding submission to the Federal Government's Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program. Gallipoli Park Pump Track, the Absolution Block and Shade. The installation of basically toilets is scheduled to be completed by March. The addition of shade over the Ninja course has been welcomed by the community and complements the facility really well. The skate park. So the skate bowl replacement. This project commenced about a week ago, and is expected to be completed in the coming weeks, which will make this place a bit safer. The city lookout upgrade, council's been successful in receiving $150,000 in funding, and that's with the Works for Queensland program. And this project is currently in the planning phase. Splashes Aquatic Centre, the retiling work commenced in January and continues this week. These repairs are expected to be completed shortly. The new inflatable obstacle course at Splashes has been a great success, with many patrons stepping up to the challenge. Big thank you to Mount Isa City Council staff who run a very successful and COVID-safe Australia Day Awards and citizenship ceremony. It was absolutely a fantastic day. Thank you again to all staff involved, and I know everyone had a good day. Congratulations to all of the Australia Day Awards and all those who were nominated. It's an honour to be nominated for Australia Day Awards, and on behalf of Mount Isa, I thank you for your contribution to our great city. I'd also like to take this opportunity to provide the community with a brief update on what I've been up to since the last ordinary meeting. And I'm sorry this is going on a bit. So every week on a Wednesday, councillors get together and have a scheduled meeting, and it may be a workshop, a council briefing, or it may be a council ordinary meeting. So that's every Wednesday. We had a council workshop, and in a council workshop is where councillors and key staff come together and discuss projects, developing issues and new opportunities. Updates from February's workshop include a meet and greet with a representative from Eva Copper Mine, an update from Mount Isa Radio, a presentation from the Environmental and Health team regarding possible environmental charge projects, and feedback sessions regarding updated financial report format. With the council briefing, this is an opportunity for councillors to review the draft of the ordinary meeting that we're going through today, and this is where we can request additional information and ask questions to officers if required. This meeting we had this month, councillors had the opportunity to view the initial design concept for the CBD master plan, and it was really exciting. So that was a great to view that. I also have a weekly district vaccination committee meeting. It's basically local government areas and the health meet to discuss vaccination data and developing strategies to address any identified gaps or shortfalls in vaccination coverage within local government areas. The aim of these meetings is to enhance connection, coordination, and but basically find how we make it really easy for people to get vaccinated. We also had a MICO board meeting, and this is the Mount Isa City Council owned enterprises, which really covers Buchanan Park, Outback at Isa, and the Civic Centre. I attended this meeting as an observer, and it was good to see the committee accepted a strategic review of the MICO enterprises by Stratford Strategy. The other thing I did this month was a local disaster management group meeting, so LDMG as we refer to it. And this is established by local governments to prepare, support and coordinate disaster management activities for their respective LGAs. A local government needs to ensure that it can provide disaster response capabilities for the community and can provide equipment and suitable number of persons using the resources available to effectively manage or help another entity to manage an emergency or a disaster in a local government area. The LDMG is made up of council representatives, mayor as the chair, deputy mayor, local emergency services, Queensland Police, Queensland Ambulance, representatives of functional lead agencies, NGOs such as welfare organisations or community groups as a local recovery coordinator. This meeting we had this month, we discussed how better to support can be provided to community members and families who have been at home isolating with COVID. Council is currently coordinating and providing care packs to those in need, in addition to assisting local agencies to complete welfare checks. Overlanders Way Meeting. So the Overlanders Way is a stretch of road that takes you from the Great Barrier Reef to the Northern Territory outback. It consists of 7 local Queensland government areas that are situated along the Overlanders Way, including Mount Isa, Cloncurry, McKinley, Richmond, Flinders, Charters Towers in Townsville. The group is working together to promote and develop tourism opportunities for our communities. The Northwest Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, which we often refer to as the Northwest ROC. It consists of 9 local government areas, which is Mount Isa, Cloncurry, McKinley, Richmond, Flinders, Burke, Carpentaria, Doomadgee and Etheridge. These groups come together to strategically plan and advocate for the region. Additional regional priorities that we focus on are government and stakeholder engagement, regional and economic development, regional infrastructure, transport networks and workforce capacity, environment, natural assets and climate impacts, health and education, telecommunications and internet services. The Deputy Mayor also participates in these meetings. At the last meeting, the group had the opportunity to speak to the federal candidates running for the seat of Kennedy. This was for LNP, ALP and the Katter Party. This was a fantastic opportunity to put forward the challenges of our communities and get an insight into how these candidates could support us. I also had a bit of an update, which wasn't the 100-year meeting, but it was a bit of an update with the 100-year Celebration Advisory Committee. And it was myself, the council staff, and the Calcadoon Stakeholders Director, Lee Kirchhoff. And we just had a brief update to discuss possible opportunities to acknowledge and celebrate the Calcadoons as part of our 100-year celebrations. The Family Fun Precinct. Last week I visited the Family Fun Precinct and viewed the work that commenced on the replacement skate bowl. Again, it breaks my heart that the Family Fun Park isn't open, but the temple's looking amazing and the skate bowl is getting there. I also met with TAFE and caught up with the Business Development Officer Justine Cole and the Back to Works Training Officer Luella Kay, and just got an update and discussed opportunities in the Northwest. I also met with the Calcadoon PBC, caught up with the stakeholder Lee Kirchhoff again, and just received an update and discussed possible opportunities for council to work with the Calcadoons, including the NAIDOC week that will come up this year. Various face-to-face meetings with community members. I met 5 residents and discussed topics ranging from youth crime, vandalism, CBD cleanup, land encroachment, Frank Aston Hill, and the complaint. Obviously it doesn't cover emails and phone calls, but I hope it provides you with a snapshot of what goes on behind the scenes at council. I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind the community that the Sport Expo is on again this Saturday, the 19th of February at the Civic Centre at 10 a.m. This is an excellent opportunity for the sporting and non-for-profit groups to showcase their association and hopefully get some much-needed membership. It's also a great opportunity for people to come along and see how they can get involved in what group. So thanks everyone and keep safe. Would someone like to put forward the motion that council receives and accepts the February 2022 Merrell Minute?
Moved, Marwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would someone like to second that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? Thank you, and that's carried. Okay, so that takes us to reading and consideration of correspondence, which was nil for this month. Yep. And so we'll move on to item 10, which is Executive Services Report 10.1. So, sorry, I'll just get to that. Okay, so would someone like to move the officer's recommendation that council adopt the updated register of delegations council to CEO version 4?
Moved, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would someone like to second that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a routine review of the registration of delegations. Council to CEO, there's something like 3,500, I think I calculated, delegations that go to the CEO, so it might give you some idea of the administration that we're under here. I won't read them all today. I'll just put that to the council. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Fortune?
No, thank you.
Thank you. All right. All those in favour? And that's carried. And then that takes us to item 10.2, and I will now hand the chair over to the Deputy Mayor, Phil Barwick. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Council, on the 13th of December 2021, Council received a referral notice from the Office of the Independent Assessor advising Council what to deal with a complaint of alleged inappropriate conduct by Councillor Peter McRae. Pursuant to Resolution SMO 6/12/21, Council engaged an external investigator to investigate the complaint, and an investigation report has been completed. So there's a couple of options there for the recommendation. If I could ask for a mover, or anyone to move one.
Through the chair.
Councillor Fortune, yep.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barwick. I'd like to move that Council, having considered the confidential report entitled Report to Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Peter McRae, and with reference to Section 150AG of the Local Government Act 2009, determines that Councillor Peter McRae has not engaged in inappropriate conduct, and that councillors consider refresher training on all key policies which councillors are expected to comply with.
Thank you. Can I ask for a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Seconded, Councillor Tully. Councillor Fortune, you...
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, we've got the normal process would be for the motion there to be moved and then the motion to be defeated, but then someone would indicate that they would be putting up an alternative motion should this one not get up.
So, through the chair, can I ask a question on that? It said here is that councillors consider refresher training on key policies which council are expected to comply with. If the word consider is in there, that means, well, I don't know why we should be considering it if there's no inappropriate conduct done.
Through you,
Yep.
I'm going to skip between the two issues here. Through you, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Coghlan, it's always a good idea to refresh all policies and consider refreshing those. And we'll do it as a matter of course because they've got review dates written on those policies. Can I go back to where you were, Councillor Fortune, if I may? Again, what you have written down there in front of you is the officer's recommendation. The officers, that's why we have an option in the back there. So if this recommendation isn't getting up, it would be beneficial for this recommendation to be defeated on the floor, but someone indicate that they are going to put up an alternate motion should this one fail.
Okay, so the option that I put up...
So you've put up the option, which is in the back of the report.
Yes.
What I'm seeking at the moment is that it may be that another councillor puts up this report fails, but a person who may be seconding or providing comment indicates that they will be putting up another, the alternate motion, which sits in the recommendations on the pages behind this, to actually go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks,
Mr.
Mr. CEO. That's
Thank you.
fine. I will ask if...
Sorry, through the chair. So the recommendation, the officer's recommendation is spoken to and put up for debate. That's.
And then it may.
Yep.
If I'm only following the advice, I'm only following the tone that you've put up at the moment. That potentially there may be councillors that disagree with what you've proposed, but potentially you're speaking to the one at the back.
Right.
What we're dealing with is the one at the front at the moment, which has to be the officer's recommendation.
Right. So
And again, yeah. Does that
Okay,
make
well,
sense?
I'll start that off. Thanks, Mr. CEO. Yeah, there's a recommendation that council have considered the confidential report entitled Report to Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Peter McRae, and with reference to Section 150 AG of the Local Government Act 2009, determines that Councillor Peter McRae has engaged in appropriate conduct, and the council, having considered the confidential report entitled Report to Mount Isa City Council regarding the alleged breach of policy by a councillor, and with reference to section 150AG of the Local Government Act 2009, orders that no action be taken against Councillor McRae, and that councillors consider refresher training on key policies which councillors are expected to comply with. Is there a mover from council for that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that there's no mover, so that fails.
It would be, through you,
Yep.
Deputy, it would be good if it was moved and then failed.
I'll
If
move it.
that's the
Okay, moved. Councillor Coghlan.
Now, the normal process would be that Councillor Fortune would potentially second this and indicate that should this motion fail, he has an alternate motion.
Through the chair, I'll take that option.
Seconded.
I'll second that.
Seconded,
Yeah,
Councillor
seconded.
Fortune.
Yep.
Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Coghlan?
I just wanted to move it to put it on the, put it up for debate.
Okay, thank you,
I don't agree with it. I think it will be defeated.
thank you. Councillor Fortune,
I second it for the same reason.
and you have an alternate motion?
I have an alternate motion, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll declare that defeated.
Well, you need to,
Is there any support for the motion?
No.
No. Okay, that's
Okay.
defeated. Thank you.
so Councillor Fortune was indicating that he has an alternative motion?
Correct.
Alternate.
That council, having considered the confidential report entitled Report to the Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Peter McRae, and with reference to section 150AG of the Local Government Act 2009, determined that Councillor Peter McRae has not engaged in inappropriate conduct, and that councillors consider refresher training on key policies which councillors are expected to comply with.
Thank you, councillor. We have a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
One, okay. Councillor Fortune, would you like to speak
Yeah,
to
through the
that?
chair, just my response as a part of reasoning is that there are 5 principles of local government. The first of 5 of those local government principles is transparent and effective processes in decision making in the public interest, and not having a copy of the original complaint. I don't believe it is transparent, and the complaint appears to be anonymous, vexatious, politically driven, and a waste of ratepayers' money.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Coghlan.
Yeah, I read through the report. I just think it was an absolute waste of council's money going forward with this. And I believe that the investigation that took place could have been done a lot more thorough. That's only my personal opinion on doing the report, but I concur with everything Councillor Fortune has said.
Okay, thank you, councillor. Any other comments, councillors?
Yes, just through the chair, I think this sort of adds a bit of weight to the thing that we took to the local government conference regarding the $200 fee for any claims that are made against, for the OIA. So, as well as the, anonymous complaints. I think that needs to be changed. As we're well aware of these complaints that have been made against councillors over the last 18 months, 2 years, it's costing the ratepayer money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, councillor. Okay, any other comments?
Nil for me.
Okay, thanks. So I'll ask for a show of hands to support that motion, thanks. Okay, that motion's carried. Thank you.
Through you, Deputy, we need to
Councillor
swap councillors.
Gray, can you come back in?
I'll be leaving the room now.
Thank you. Thanks for your assistance with process, Mr. CEO.
If we're just got to go through.
Welcome back, Councillor McRae. So we're on to item 10.3. And I'll just read out a summary of the item. On January 14th, 2022, Council received a referral notice from the Office of the Independent Assessor, OIA, advising the Council was to deal with a complaint of alleged inappropriate conduct by Councillor Kim Coghlan. Pursuant to Resolution SMO 5/01/22, Council engaged an external investigator to investigate the complaint, and an investigation report has been completed. There is a recommendation here from the officer, and following our new process around this, or our Expo, I'll move that I'll read it out. Council, having considered the confidential report entitled Report to Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Kim Coghlan, and with reference to Section 150AG of the Local Government Act 2009, determines that Councillor Kim Coghlan has engaged in inappropriate conduct, and that Council, having considered the confidential report entitled Report to the Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Kim Coghlan, and with reference to Section 150AH of the Local Government Act 2009, determines that Councillor Kim Coghlan be disciplined by the following orders being placed on her, which is to be decided by Mount Isa City councillors, and that councillors consider refresher training on key policies which councillors are expected to comply with. So could I ask any councillors who would like to move that, please?
Through the Chair, I'll move that, open it for debate.
Okay, thank you, councillor. Seconder for that motion?
To debate, yes,
McRae, second. Okay, thank you. Councillor Fortune?
Thank you, Chair. There is a option that I would like to follow, and I open up the recommendation for debate. I will not be voting on the recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
I'll put forward a alternative recommendation.
So, through you, Deputy Mayor, if we're doing this the same way as we did the other one, can we do that? If that's the intent of council? So,
Yes. So
it would be nice again to have that moved. If that's the intent of council, that motion is defeated. If that happens.
sorry, we haven't voted yet on this motion. So
moved it.
Okay.
Councillor McRae seconded it. He's
Right.
speaking to it.
No, but he's offering an alternate.
all right. So as we did before, offer the option. We vote on the recommendation as moved and seconded.
Yes, usually you don't get the mover to offer the alternate one.
Okay.
So if there's someone else that...
Sorry, I thought I was seconding that we were opening it up for debate. I wasn't seconding this actual recommendation.
So
we're yet to vote on it.
So through you, Deputy Chair, once it's been put there, that's fine. So hypothetically, if Councillor Stretton, for example, was to move the officer's report, and you were to second it, this is the discussion we just had before,
Okay.
that would allow for the debate. It may also indicate that there is an alternate motion that may be put as well. Does that make sense?
Sorry to be late to the party.
No, well, I think that's what we're doing now. We just we've had this move and seconder, so we've
Through you,
discussing the
Deputy,
option now.
if Councillor Fortune is likely to be looking at another recommendation, it would be good to have someone other than Councillor Fortune move this one.
I'll move. McRae.
Okay, so I'll just ask if there's any more discussion on that item, please. If there's not, I'll ask for a vote.
Oh, sorry,
on
can
the
I go
motion?
back? You've moved it, I
I've
just need
moved
a
it.
seconder.
For the alternate motion?
No, to the
This is
primary
to the
motion
original.
that
Oh,
we're dealing
okay.
with. We've got that,
Yep. I was moved for the recommendation.
okay, and you're indicating that it's likely you will have an alternate.
That's correct.
Thank you, I must have missed it, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, that's where we're at. Yeah. So is there any more discussion on this item? Well, I'll put that to the vote. Thanks, councillors. Anyone in favour of the recommendation? Okay, that's failed. Thank you. So, Councillor Fortune, you have an alternate recommendation?
As the CEO indicated, it may be possible for someone else to put up an alternative recommendation.
Yep.
Okay. I would like to move that council, having considered the confidential report to the Mount Isa City Council regarding alleged breach of policy by Councillor Coghlan with reference to to section 158 of the Local Government Act 2009 determines that Councillor Kim Coghlan has not engaged in inappropriate conduct.
And
And having considered the confidential report entitled to Mount Isa regarding the alleged breach of policy with reference to section 150AH of the Local Government Act, determines that Councillor Kim Coghlan not be disciplined by the following orders being placed upon her. And that's all I'm recommending.
There's another part to that recommended option, Councillor. It says that councillors consider refresher training on key policies which councillors are expected to comply with.
I didn't want to move that.
You didn't want to move that? Okay. So can we have a seconder for Councillor McRae's
I'll second that.
recommendation? Seconded,
Chair.
Councillor Fortune. Any discussion on that option?
I would just like to say, reading Councillor Coghlan's response to the allegations, I just don't feel that there was enough evidence to show that there was any breach there, so that's why I moved the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Any other?
so again, through the chair, look, again, I'll have a similar response. No, look, there's the local government principles, transparent and effective processes and decision-making in the public interest. And again, not having a copy of the original complaint is not transparent. This complaint appears to be anonymous, vexatious, politically driven, and a waste of ratepayers' money.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Okay, all right, well, I'll ask for a vote on that motion, please. Those in favour?
Vote, can I vote?
Okay. Thank
Just
you.
making sure.
Those against, no. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And we'll ask Madam Mayor to come back in and Councillor Coghlan. I'll hand the chair back, Madam Mayor, and I'll leave for 10.4.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm just getting to 10.4. Can I get someone to move the motion? The Australian Mining Cities Alliance, AMCA, endorse the endorsement of change of appointment. When I find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Would someone like to read out the motion and put forward the motion, please?
Yeah, through the chair, that council endorsed the appointment of Deputy Mayor Phil Barwick as chair of the Australian Mining Cities Alliance, and that council endorses the nomination of Mr. Gary Stevenson Consulting as company secretary, executive officer of the Australian Mining Cities Alliance.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
No, just that I think the deputy mayor is a good fit for this, and yeah, I wish him all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll just give a bit of background. The Australian Mining Cities Alliance was launched in 2017 as an initiative aimed at ensuring Australia's mining cities have a collective voice and to maximise cooperation with Australia's mining industry, which underpins the economies of so many communities across Australia, especially in rural and remote areas. Mount Isa City Council was a founding local government in the Alliance, in addition to the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and Broken Hill City Council. To date, the Alliance now also consists of the City of Karratha and Isaac Regional Council. So there's a lot of pull there from regional communities, and it's a great fit for Councillor Barwick with his knowledge of Mount Isa and the opportunities and also the hurdles that regional remote mining communities face.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Would anyone else like to speak on this one?
Just through the chair, I tried to look at what had been achieved by this committee, but I couldn't actually find anything. I'm just wondering if the other councillors know of anything that has been achieved.
Well, there was the delegation, I suppose, and authorisation through council to support it wasn't exactly a zonal allowance, but it was some tax benefit breaks for regional regional mining communities. That would is not exactly a zone rebate, but very close to, and that to me is a win. And to get that up with so many people, get it in front of Parliament with so many backers is a major win for the zone rebate debate.
Yeah, sorry, I think just through the chair with the alliance, I think it's important that, you know, the mining has some alliance with other towns just so they can lobby state and federal government, you know, on all matters regardless, tax, flights, airfares. So I think it just carries a bit more weight. Thank you.
Definitely, my personal opinion is that we need to unite and advocate, and we need a strong voice, and we are unique. There's no doubt about it. Mining cities are unique, but also Mount Isa is unique. So we definitely need that voice out there talking about the challenges we face. And, you know, from a federal, you know, we seem to have a lot more access to state ministers, and sometimes we don't always have the access to federal ministers. So it'll be fantastic to have that voice out there. So I'm right behind this. All right, so let's vote.
Yeah, through the chair, there's a brief sort of summary of what Councillor Coghlan would be asking for. I believe Councillor Barwick will deliver that.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. Would you want your vote recorded, Councillor Coghlan, as not against?
Just noted.
Thank you. All right, can we welcome back the Deputy Mayor? So this actually puts us to item 10.5, and it's a councillor update of the AMCA board meeting, which is what we've just voted on. And I just, with the Merrell Minute, this will be part of our format going forward, where councillors get an opportunity to talk about the committees and meetings they're attending on behalf of the community. So I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor. Oh, sorry, first of all, can we get someone to please move the officer's recommendation, read it and move it, please?
Through the chair, I'll move the recommendation that council receives and accepts the update from the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Phil Barwick, regarding the Australian Mining Cities Alliance Limited, AMCA, board meeting held on 8th of February 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Can I get someone to second that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Do we vote on it and then he reads it out? Or? No, we're not voting at this stage. Now he'll delivers it. Okay.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
I feel like we did that backwards.
I'll deliver just my summary of the recent meeting. I'll just make the disclaimer that these aren't reflective of the official minutes. They're my view of the meeting as a director, and so I'll run through the highlights on the progress of the Australian Mining Cities Alliance Board. Number one, the Treasurer's report highlighted the company's position is solvent with no significant outstanding receivables or payables. More importantly, number two, there's a rolling advocacy plan developed by the Executive Officer Gary Stevenson, was reviewed by the AMCA Limited Board, of which our CEO is a member also, and was adopted by the board. So this is a very substantial advocacy plan, and you'll recognise a lot of the items in here as being really reflective of Mount Isa's issues. So A is housing shortages, B is the FBT tax treatments or general tax treatments for remote cities, and you'll be familiar with the More Than Mining project that's underway at the present time, advocacy to the federal government before the election. C is increased social and health services to the city, and mining city post-mining planning. There's E is mining royalties reinvestment, so there's a program for that. F is the fly-in, fly-out reduction affecting remote cities. And then it goes on for climate change impacts, the impacts of mine automation, which is upon us, and other things like high-cost airfares and road transport logistics, including the efficiency and safety around that. The More Than Mining campaign, I'll just highlight on improving housing FBT arrangements for all residents. So at the moment it's only available to companies. And councils will be familiar with this as we have supported it in the recent past. So it's the inaugural Australian Mining Cities Alliance advocacy campaign, and it's intended to be followed up with a lineup of advocacy areas that were listed above by rolling out relevant and appropriate campaigns as the political environment and the board logistics determine. The number 3 item we discussed was the FIFO Cancer of the Bush report and recommendations from 2015. That was tabled and approved for presenting by AMCA to various senators and ministers, again for advocacy purposes, and that's in line with our recently passed rolling advocacy plan. So the intention there is to pick up dormant recommendations and advocate for review and consideration by the Parliament. So item 4, we have a 3-year strategic plan that's been developed and adopted. And 5 was discussion on the Canberra delegation, which was cancelled for February because of the pandemic that was around, or is around. It was proposed and approved to continue advocacy via video conferences to a range of political figures, and we've been doing that fairly consistently. Number 6 was around the ELGA conference. Planning is underway for a presentation at the ELGA National Conference in Canberra, and to develop possibly a resources regions forum separate to the conference but attached to it, and to be led by the Australian Mining Cities Alliance. There's AMCA board have had some make-up changes under constitutional requirements, so there was several board directors changes, several automatic appointments of new incumbents by position. So the new CEO of Kalgoorlie Boulder, the new mayor and new deputy mayor of Broken Hill replaced outgoing representation due to election results. And the board voted on, which you've just seen in the previous item, on a new chairperson. 8, and the following meeting schedule is below, so that's June 2022, August 2022, November 2022. Thank you, Madam Mayor, that's all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any comments before we vote? All those in favour? And that's carried. Now the next item is 10.6, so you'll get that in your supplementary agenda, which is on Docs on Tap, or you've got it, should have a paper copy of that. I'll just give you a minute to get it in front of you. Okay, so this 10.6, which is the encroachments onto council land from adjoining landholders, which is 746907. Would someone like to read out and move the officer's recommendation, please?
I can.
Thank you,
I'd like to
Councillor
move
McRae.
that Council resolve to hold resolution OM0821 in abeyance for a period of 12 months and advise the affected landholders accordingly.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor McRae, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yes, we've just had some feedback from the landholders that have those encroachments there on Buchanan Park. So we'd just like to have a further look at that and, yeah, hold it in abeyance for the 12 months as recommended. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Any other comments on this?
Yeah, it's just a little bit more complicated than originally thought, and I think it's the holding it in abeyance is part of our process of due diligence, and I think it's a good step for us.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, I'll just ask, Madam Mayor, that the people that are impacted by this are in good contact with the council, it would appear.
It has, and it was
That's
at,
the recommendation.
and, sorry, councillor, I
That
missed
was
that.
part of the recommendation. Advise the affected landholders accordingly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And, yeah, we don't always get it right as a council, but it's good that we listen to the community and we act when we are, when things are brought to our attention. So I think this is a really good outcome. Can I ask all those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you. This is still on the agenda, supplementary item, which is the 10.7 Mount Isa CBD Master Plan. Would someone like to read and move the officer's recommendation, please?
Through the chair, I'd like to move that council endorses the draft CBD master plan and accompanying summary report and agrees to a 2-week community consultation process.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Would someone like to second that, please?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Councillor Fortune, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
I'll just give a bit of background, thank you, Mayor. The Merrell City Council engaged services of tracked consultants to prepare a CBD master plan. As council is aware, tracked consultants were engaged to prepare that master plan for the City of Mount Isa. The first draft CBD master plan has been prepared, and the summary report was presented to council at last week's council briefing. The project team is now seeking council's formal approval to endorse the draft master plan and accompanying summary report and agree to a 2-week public consultation period of the documents. Once the community feedback is received, the relevant changes will be made and the final draft will again be presented to council, including the community feedback results for adoption. Whilst council would normally undertake a 4-week community consultation period, there is an opportunity to seek funding to undertake some works which form part of the CBD master plan. However, this will require council adopting the CBD master plan as a matter of urgency.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Tully, would you like to comment on this one?
No, I'm pretty sure Councillor Fortune is...
Covered it.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. Now, this puts us back onto our regular schedule, which is item 11, which is the Corporate and Community Services Report. So if you head back to the original agenda we had, and I will ask Deputy Mayor if he would like to read out and put forward the officer's recommendation.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I'll move that council receives and accepts the December 2021 Finance Overview Report as presented.
Can I get a second for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on
Yeah,
behalf
Madam
of
Mayor,
this?
I'll just, if I can, there's 2 reports today, so this is the first of 2, December and then January. So I don't think we should dwell too long on the December reports, as there's nothing significant there, and a more up-to-date version is in the next item of the January report. Unless any councillors have got questions in regards to the item, I think we should go to the vote. Thanks.
Thank you. So if there's no other comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. And that takes us to 11.2, which is the Finance Overview Report for January 2022. Councillor Barwick, would you like to move this motion?
Yeah, thanks. I'll move that council receives and accepts the January 2022 Finance Overview Report as presented.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. You'll note both these reports, the previous item and this one, were in a new format that Council's Office Administration has admirably produced after a recent review. So we've tried to improve the detail and the amount of information that's available in the public reports to have a look at the financial health of the organisation. So just running through some of the items at the moment on There's an operational performance for revenue and expenditure summary as at the 31st of January, which highlights the actual year-to-date revenue and expenses against the budget, and the variances that are existing against the budget. So I'll just point out that there's some items that are up at this time of the year. You'll see that the rates, levies and charges are very, very close to what was budgeted, which is good. The fees and charges are up 242,000 approximately, which is around about a 16% more than we budgeted for. And in the expenses, there's not a terrible lot there to highlight. I think we're, at this time of the year, we're very close to where we should be. So net result at the present time is a $2.4 million deficit, and we've got a budget figure of 532,000 surplus. So as things come to play, that should be taken up. There's a range of graphs there that highlight the split on the revenue and the expenses. The next page, 319, that's got the capital outline and how we're progressing there. So you'll see that our actual expenditure is year to date is 4.7 million. Year to date actuals less the full budget is behind 6.3 million for grants, subsidies and contributions. So it's lower than expected budget as related to expenditures to those projects is yet to be incurred. Plant, property and equipment listed there. So we've also added financial sustainability ratios here, which is an operating surplus ratio, an asset sustainability ratio, and net financial liabilities ratio, which are now being added to the report so that this meets with the QTC requirements of where we need to be during the year and at the end of each year. And a few graphs around that. Just highlight there that our January 22 outstanding rates is 10.7 million, and there's work being done on that at the moment for particularly some of the older rates that haven't been able to be collected, and we've had recent meetings that have approved those processes. The water meter readings been done, be invoiced shortly, so that'll be the billing for the Q2 period for non-residential rate holders properties, and the first half-yearly water consumption notices for residential properties for the period the 1st of July 2021 to the 31st of January 2022, including all Camwell properties. And rate notices for the period 1 January to the 30th of June 22 be issued 21st of March now, and a due date of the 20th of April. And then we go on at item 6, which highlights a set of analysis of the business functions of council. I think that's something that people should look through and just see how each of the business units are going. Also, we've got a borrowings table there, which we put up from time to time, but at the 31st of January, council owes 19.8 million, still paying out for debts. I'll just point out that there's been no borrowings by council in this term or last term, and we are certainly putting council in a very good position by paying down that debt from old projects, which were needed at the time. And just an idea on our cash insolvency. So you'll see that at present time we are holding at January 54.898 million in cash, which covers us for ongoing expenses. Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all.
Well, thank you, Deputy Mayor. That was very comprehensive. I really appreciated that. Any other comments before we vote?
Nothing from me, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Barwick summed it up there.
You really did. All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. So this takes us now to item 11.4, which is the Splashes Private Barbecue Area High Fee, and I believe this one will be with councillor Coughlin.
Yeah, I'd like to put forward,
Excuse me.
Oh, did I miss the budget? Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, I jumped one there. Sorry. I will hand this one over to the Deputy Mayor. It's 11.3, which is the budget year ending the 30th of June 2022 and the December quarter review. So,
Thank you, Madam
over
Mayor.
to you.
So I'll move that council receives and accepts the budget year end 30th of June 2022 December quarter review as presented.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, councillor Tully. Deputy Mayor, would you like to comment on this motion?
Yeah, so a couple of times a year we do a review on the budget so that we bring it back into what's actually happening, and you'll see the movements are explained there. So there's a slight increase of 449,000 to rates, levies and charges is our expected revenue now. The fees and charges are up 40,000. Sales revenue we think is down by 550,000, and we're looking at an increase of 2.4 million against grant subsidies, contributions and donations. So overall that gives us a current total revenue increase from the new budget to the old one of 2.339 million. And if you add, if you add interest and other income into that, that takes it down by quite a considerable amount. So the total operating revenue will drop to 2.577 million because of resulting changes in other income, which are explained in the rest of the. So largely that's because of a correction of a mapping of waste levy refund from revenue to offset of expenditure by 860,000. The reduction of a water dividend from Mount Isa Water Board by 1.288 million to 379 million. And the correction of mapping of rates discounts from expenses to offset rates revenue of 125,000. A decrease of interest income by 180k, and reduction of splashes revenue by 50k, and a reduction of cemetery fees by 50k. Thank you. And also there's been some movement in the expenses, which its total is 856,266 across a variety of items there. The biggest one being the materials and services, which is reduced by 1.2 million for various reasons. So there's just a chart table there showing you the operational expenditure areas and where the adjustments are. So I'll hand it back to you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, just through the chair, I think you probably need to, you mentioned it went down from 5 million to 379 million. It's actually 3.79 million.
Oh, okay.
If we got that much,
Not as
we'd
much.
be happy.
I missed the decimal, did I?
1 point makes a big difference.
Good pick up, Councillor.
My apologies.
It's only about 287 million. Well, 97 million.
Thank you,
Thanks,
councillor
Deputy Mayor.
Tully. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do we have any more comments before we vote? Nope. All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. And that takes us now to 11.4, which is the Splashes Private Barbecue Area High Fee, and I'll hand you over to councillor Coughlin.
okay, I'd like to put forward the motion that council accepts the amendment of the Register of Fees and Charges schedule for FY 2021/22 to include the Splashes Private Barbecue Area Hire Fee of $50 per half day.
Thank you, councillor Coughlin. Would someone like to second that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, councillor McRae. Councillor Coughlin, would you like to talk on behalf of this motion?
Oh yeah, just very quickly, the barbecue area, once these fees and charges are adopted, it will be open for business. It's a good little area that people can hire out and know that they definitely have a barbecue and seating. As we all know, the barbecues at Splashes get very busy at times. So if you'd like a private party, birthday parties, just private functions, there is an area now that the public can hire, which I think is a great other asset for the splashes there with the staff working it, so that's it.
Thank you, councillor Coghlan. Would anyone else want to comment on this one? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. And that takes us to 11.5, which is Splash's overview report for January 2022. And I'll hand you back to councillor Coghlan.
Okay, the recommendation is that council receives and accepts the January 2022 Splashes Overview Report as presented.
Thank you, councillor Coghlan. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, councillor Stratton. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yes, the staff down at Splashes are doing an exceptional job. We've got Swim Fit is going so well, we have to put another class on. We've got more funding from Move It North Queensland to do a Swim Fit class, but also the aqua aerobics, I have heard, are going sensational. So that's great that we'll be able to get that funding and people can go along and have free lessons of aqua aerobic and Swim Fit. We've also got the inflatable that goes up at certain times on the weekends for the kids to go. We're all pretty scarred still from Councillor Tully's first try on it, but anyway, the kids are seeming to enjoy it down there. And the Mayoral Heat swim team, they're back in training now, and I think they have a coaching, a coaching clinic on the 26th and 27th of February. So if there are any children out there, I know a lot of parents looking for children to get into sport. This little committee are going gung-ho at the moment and really increasing their numbers. Some really good little swimmers down there. And the tiles have all been replaced at the pool, which is a great plus. And no, I just think the staff need to be commended once again on the work they're doing down there. They're doing an excellent job.
Thank you, councillor Coghlan. Any other comments?
Sorry, just through the chair, David, I'm not too sure whether this is, but I probably need to declare that I'm actually a sponsor of Mount Isa Heat Swim Club. So whether or not...
Through you, Madam Mayor, if you could list that as an interest on your documentation, that'd be helpful.
Thank you. And yes, it's great to see Mount Isa Pool have a swim club. I've said this many times, but my brother still holds records that have never been broken at that club, and swimming was very fiercely competitive back in the day, and I hope it gets back to that again. And if anyone is interested in joining a sport, this weekend at the Civic Centre, we have a sports sign-on, kicks off at 10 a.m. at the Civic Centre. Vaxxed or unvaxxed people are welcome to come along, and I hope it's an opportunity for sports to get new membership, and I really hope that if you are in Mount Isa and you're looking to join a sport or get involved, this is a great opportunity to come down and see what Mount Isa has to offer. So, well, while I've plugged that, let's vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. So this now takes us to 11.6, which is the Library Overview Report, December 2021 and January 2022, and I'll hand you over to Councillor Peter McRae.
I'd like to move that Council receives and accepts the December 2021 and January 2022 Library Overview Report as presented.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor McRae, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Yeah, there's a bit of an overview here about what's been happening in the library since December, January and the beginning of February. There's been a total of 18 activities run through the library, which have mainly involved craft and educational activities. Alan Rackham from Riverslea Fossil Centre has been down there with the fossils doing some educational activities for kids. So I think that's been a great use of our resources, and it's good to educate kids about their local area. So well done to whoever came up with that scheme. I think that's been very worthwhile. The team there have also been helping people with their proof of vaccination to do with the mandates. It is actually quite difficult to get that green tick happening for older people, so I'm sure they have offered invaluable assistance. And also we had a visit from Santa there, late November, early December, who he actually took the time to write to 130 children from our area. So well done to Santa and the team at the library.
That is really good to hear. That is such a nice story. Has anyone else had any comments or feedback? No. All those in favour? And that's carried. And this takes us over to the 11.7, which is Economic and Community Development Overview Report for December 2021 and January 2022. And I'll hand over to Councillor McRae again. Is it the right one to hand it over to? Yep.
McRae or Barwick, I'm not sure. McRae today.
There's a few that
Enough, you go.
there's a few that sort of there's a few that sort
Sure
of
about this.
feel like they
Getting
cross.
a bit like camel wheel, this one.
I'd like to move that council receives and accepts the combined December 2021 and January 2022 Economic and Community Development Overview Report.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor McRae, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, the team have a lot of things in progress at the moment. They're preparing for Anzac Day, Welcoming Babies Day coming up in May, Pet Day coming up in July, and the Isa Street Festival. I'm sure everyone in the community is going to be pumped for that one this year. It's going to be a big one. And they completed Christmas in the city. That's me.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on
No, I concur with Councillor McRae. There is a lot happening. We've also got a range of items like the 100 Years Committee, which is hitting some strides, and also the Motorsports Complex, Motorsports Park Committee is up and just about up and running, and also the advisory group I think we're dealing with later in the program. So yeah, there is a lot happening, a lot of planning, and a lot of advisory work being done. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and it is really great to see that we're getting so much community involvement and feedback, so that's fantastic. Okay, if there's no more comments. Oh, Councillor Coughlin.
Through the chair, can I just reiterate to community groups and all that our grants and sponsorship round is open at the moment, and it closes, I think it is on the 1st of March. So just a shout out to all our community groups, if they do have something that they'd like to put in, that now's the time to get in and put their applications in.
Thank you. And that's something we can let them know at the sign-on as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just going to follow that up. The Regional Arts Development Fund applications are open at the moment for a month as well, so in a very similar vein, but around the arts. So
Yep.
I'd like to see some applications flooding in. Thank you.
All right, so all that's coming up, so thank you. If there's no more questions, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us now to 11.8, which is the Corporate Services Overview Report for December 2021 and January 2022, and I believe that's the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so recommendation we've got here is that Council receives and accepts the December 2021 and January 2022 Corporate Services Overview Report as presented.
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. There's officers' reports there highlighting the number of telephone calls that we've received, and also emails and letters and such, and also the number of jobs that have been logged with council to take care of on behalf of the community. As you can see, it's quite a busy customer service centre, and I won't go through too many of the figures, but it's certainly an active part of council. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There's no other comments?
I just have one thing. With the last time I was on council, we met not regularly, but quite a few times with the Department of State Development and Infrastructure. And I think the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor and CEO have been meeting with them. Is there any chance that it could be put on the agenda for them to give us councillors a bit of a breakdown of, or just a briefing on what is happening in the area?
Of course, that would be fantastic.
Sorry?
Which area?
I think she means
Well,
Mount Isa.
Mount Isa, yeah. The Mount Isa area, just what their vision is, what they're working on, planning. They just used to always give us an update, David, on everything.
That's all right. No, I'm just trying to get the scope in my head. I
Yep.
understand it's for Mount Isa.
Yep.
But you wanted it from a planning point of view, an economic development point of view. This is one because they're different departments at times.
Well-
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, probably what they think relevant. I mean, as councillors, I would like to know what the state government is planning in the foreseeable future here. Yeah, so probably a bit of both.
Yep.
That's all right. There are a number of plans that are out for comments at the moment.
Yep.
That included the Mineral Resources Development Plan. There are a few others as well. There's a review back on the, goodness me, Mining Province Plan that's also been done. So I'm more than happy to organise someone, whether it be Tammy or whether it be someone else to come in and do an over.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I'm actually catching up with State Development on Monday,
Mhm.
so I will arrange it then if they can come in and on one of our Wednesdays and present. If there's no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so this now brings us to 11.9, which is the Lake Mundara Advisory Committee, and this is the members for approval. Now, I will hand this over to Councillor McRae.
Sorry.
No, we let
Through
Miss
you,
one.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Fortune, you were dealing with this
Yeah,
conflict
I
by
did
staying in the room?
Indicate
Or?
I had a declarable, and I said I wanted to stay in the room. The councillors.
So I believe that Councillor Tully's moving that you
No, we
remain in
missed
the room.
one.
We missed one.
We missed 11.
Oh, have we?
We've missed 11.8,
Corporate services.
Haven't we?
overview.
No.
No.
No, we
done
just
that.
did that one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's telephones, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Councillor Coglan was one behind. It's unusual.
Okay, so that's the one we've just, we've done that
Sorry.
one. So
Yeah,
we're now
you're
up to 11.9. Okay, so I'll hand over to Councillor McRae.
Sorry.
Oh, what was
Can
your,
we just go through the process, please?
I thought we
um,
did this at the beginning.
So you do this again now, if the councillor just wants to read.
So I declare there's a declarable interest, being a life member of the fish stocking group, and fish stocking group members are applying for this advisory committee.
Thank you. And did we sorted this out at the beginning though with the vote and everything? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd just like to move that Councillor Fortune is permitted to stay in the meeting.
Right, we've done that now.
We did that beginning.
Just as long as, through you, Madam Mayor, it's good practice for you, each time the item comes up, that you reconfirm the conflict of interest and go from there.
All right. Thank you, CEO. Okay, so again, I'll hand you over to Councillor McRae.
I'd like to move that council endorse the appointment of members for the Lake Mundara Advisory Committee as listed below. David Hayden, Guido Pittis, Russell McMillan, Guy Mears, Darren McKenzie, Nadia Copperthwaite, Michaela McNamara, Michael Scottney, James Postle, Rudy Peckier, Alison Whitehead, Nathan Richardson, Brett Peterson, Gary Osman, Ivan Rex Whitehead and Kelly Wilson.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Councillor McRae, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yes, there is some background here. In 2006, MITES were commissioned by the Queensland State Government to engage Pacific Southwest Strategy Group to deliver a paper on the assessment of commercial tourism opportunities at Lake Mundara. This report was completed in May 2016. The report was tabled at the Ordinary Council meeting Wednesday, 20th October 2021, and a resolution was made. And it follows. And is there, my iPad is playing up. Is that the last page? Because I can't get it to go any further.
You might have to just click over
It
to
doesn't
that.
seem like it would be, but...
Would you like me to have a look at it, Councillor?
Sorry?
It doesn't scroll over page. You actually have to.
Mine's not scrolling anymore.
So you have to sort of the bottom arrows. You have to hit.
A Lake Mundara Advisory Committee terms of reference was presented at the Ordinary Council meeting on Wednesday, the 17th of November 2021. For review and adoption, a resolution was made that Council accepts the Lake Mundara Advisory Committee terms of reference as presented. An expression of interest form was developed and made available through SurveyMonkey and promoted to members of the community via Facebook and the Mount Isa City Council website. The expressions of interest open on Monday, the 17th of January 2022 and closed on the 31st of January, and a total of 16 expressions of interest were received. The selection of members was based on the information supplied in the expression of interest, which included relevant experiences and affiliations with relevant Lake Mundara activities. It is noted that the Mount Isa Water Board is a trustee for Lake Mundara and as such has a different role to that of Council.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Would anyone else like to speak to this one?
Just a comment, Madam Mayor. Look, I think this is fantastic progress on this particular, aspect of Mount Isa. It's a long overdue part of, our tourism and our recreational activity, and I think this is going to be the lead into a lot of really good things going on out in that area.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I personally can't wait for this committee to get started, because I too believe that Lake Mundara has served the locals well, and it's been a fantastic to be to use the lake. But I do think that it's an untapped resource that we haven't yet got to its full potential, and we could definitely have tourists coming galore, especially with metre-long barramundis swimming around in that lake. So I could really see a lot of potential there, and it also will improve the the quality of living in Mount Isa when you have more things to do. So yep, can't wait for this to get started. So if there's no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. So that takes us now to 11.10, which is the Motorsports Advisory Committee members for approval, and I'll hand you over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we've got a recommendation here from Council. The Council endorsed the appointment of members for the Motorsports Advisory Committee as listed below. And there's a table there. I'll go through them quickly. Shane Thirlwell, President of the Go-Kart Club. David Schrag, the Australian National Drag Racing Association member and former President of the Mount Isa Drag Racing and Hot Rod Association. Lee Povey is the owner of LAP Automotive, and he's also an ANDRA licence holder member. Trevor Brebner is an underground mines management by Mount Isa Off-Road Racing Association representative. Paul Maloof from the Auto Group, Maloof Auto Group. Ricky Lane he has racing experience in motocross and the Fink Desert Racing, and he's a manager at Carver Hydraulics. Anthony Ficcelli is the owner of the ADG Corporation, and he's a drag racing competitor. John Alfred's a national off-road competitor. Nadia Copperthwaite is the president of Mount Isa Tourism and is the secretary of the Mount Isa Motorsports and Recreation Group. Anna Cruz is an ANDRA member. We've got Brett Peterson as the chair of the Mount Isa Motorsports and Recreation. Brad Savagni is the chair of Mount Isa Motocross. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments on this one?
Sorry, just through the chair, I'll probably refrain from voting on this, thank you. Because of Ricky Lane is a manager at Carver Hydraulics. Declarable, sorry, yes.
Sorry, but
Did we have a seconder for that? We did, didn't we? Seconder for that motion?
No, I just moved.
Oh, you just moved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's just a lot of reading.
We'll
That's all.
we'll just get Councillor Tully sorted, so we'll just put that as a...
Yes.
Can I get someone to put forward the motion that Councillor Tully can stay in the room for this motion? Thank you, Councillor McRae.
I'll
Can I get a
second.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. All those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so let's get a second for the motion.
I'll second that motion put forward by Councillor Bowick.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Okay, now would anyone like to talk about this or comment on this?
Sure. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah. So this project has been quite a long-term dormant project with Mount Isa City Council. It's really good to see it gaining some momentum. Finally, we've some items there. We've secured land, and we're undergoing the environmental impact study for it. We've got an application in for funding for $100,000, which we're yet to hear the final result on, and that progression of work from that will be dependent on the application success. So there's a terms of reference adopted for the advisory committee, and so today we're putting up the advisory committee to get started. We're looking at having a meeting around the end of October, the 28th. So I guess the feasibility study is probably one of the first things off the agenda there, so we need to get that funded and get that underway. So looking forward to getting this kicked off and getting some action in that area. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I thought we had funding for this one.
through you, Madam Mayor, we are eagerly awaiting the outcome of the funding application.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Through the chair, Madam Mayor, just a comment on the number of expressions of interest. There was 135 community members, and only 12 were selected. I mean, the selection process was pretty daunting, I suppose, for our team, but that level of interest is enormous in our community, and it just goes to show that a project like this has been long awaited, and the advisory committee is going to be well represented, I think, by the people who have been put up.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. And yes, that was an incredible, and it just goes to show the amount of people who are nominated is the amount, it's a snapshot of the community who really love motorsport. Billion-dollar industry, and there's no doubt if we had a complex here that we could be having events that attract international audience. There's no doubt, and it's exciting, and I can't wait for this to get started. So congratulations to all those who were now part of our advisory committee. If there's no more comments, let's vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so now that takes us to 11.11, the Strategic Review Report of Mount Isa City Council-owned enterprises, MICO. And I'll hand you over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll move that Council receives and accepts the MICO Strategic Review completed by Stafford Strategy as presented.
Thank you.
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So Council engaged Stafford Strategy to do a review of the structure of Mount Isa City Council-owned enterprises, including the 3 facilities that are presently run by there, and they've made quite a few recommendations there which are now being harnessed by Council, and I believe there's a report coming back to Council in due course. So yeah, I think we've been over this quite a few times. It's been accepted by the MICO board, and this is the next stage of the process for this review. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments or questions on this one?
No.
Sorry, through Madam Mayor, was there a seconder?
Yes, there was a second.
Yeah, Councillor
Sorry,
Fortune.
we both missed you.
He was quick off the mark. He was, yeah. Yeah, look, it's definitely something the community have talked about is not understanding how the council and MICO runs. So I think a review is probably very timely, and it's good to get a perspective from an outside company. So I was, yeah, really interested to read this report. If there's no other comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so this takes us to 11.12. Let's bring that up. And that's the RADF 2021-22 round 1, and I'll hand you over to the Deputy Mayor.
The break soon. So just find it, sorry. I'll move that Council endorse the RADF Committee's recommendation to approve Mount Isa Underground Hospital and Museum Incorporated Association to receive $5,000 for the round 1 of the 2021-22 RADF funding for their project, the Mount Isa Underground Hospital book.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So we call for applications for the RADF fund, and clearly the Underground Hospital have met the guidelines. They want to produce a book to reflect on you know, the assets or the history of the Underground Hospital, which has been around for clearly a long time. But it's a significant tourism icon here, and is gaining more and more momentum as it goes by. So this book will be well received.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one?
I'd just like a shout out to this, the committee that run this, the Underground Hospital. They're only a very small committee, and they've only got a few volunteers. So I would like to get out in the community if people are looking at like a small job to help out the community, to go along and see Erica and a few of the other people down there, because it's a good way for semi-retired people to get out there and be able to do a small job. It's nice, you get to talk to people, there's nice cups of tea and bickies there. And but they honestly do what they've done there. The progress they've made on the Underground Hospital there is just short of amazing. So, and it is very well received by tourists throughout the year. So if there are any community members that are looking for something to do, they should give them a call and help out.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. I think that is a really good shout out. There's no doubt that a lot of their volunteers are the retired community, and when COVID hit us in 2020, like many other non-for-profits, they were really decimated. So they're rebuilding, and I think they're a fun crowd, and I can't think of a better way to volunteer than to help the Mount Isa community. So yeah, great shout out, Councillor Coghlan. Okay. And if there's no other comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so this now takes us to 11.13, the approval of the Community and Sustainability Grant as part of the Environmental Charge Projects of the financial year for 2021-22, and I'll hand you over to Councillor Stratton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Recommendations there. Council approved this program as part of the environmental charge projects for the 2021-2022 financial year with a budget of $25,000.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Stratton, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Just a bit of a background there. The Environmental Management Plan 2025, a guiding document to achieve environmental objectives, strongly highlights the need for community participation in accomplishing these environmental goals. Also, one of the pillars of Mount Isa City Council corporate plan is to recognition, protection, management and promotion of a healthy environment. These principles are the base for the creation of a community environment sustainability grant program, which aims to support a healthy, sustainable, integrated natural environment within Mount Isa City through a corporate community project. The CSGP provides financial assistance to community, non-profit, community-based organisations, groups to plan and execute their projects, ideas that improve our local environment, inspired environmental sustainable behaviours. They fosters environmental stewardship, strengthens the capacity of communities in environmental management and sustainable living. Moreover, it motivates volunteer and boosts collaboration between council, the community and the stakeholders.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Would anyone else like to comment on this one?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, look, there's a basic steps for grant application process there. That's pretty easy to follow for groups involved. An initiative, I think it's great to identify environmental issues that affect every local government area, and the contact and collaboration between community groups and council is an excellent way of doing it through our environmental fund, and it's great to see that this initiative is taking place.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. If there's no other comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, which takes us now to 11.14, the approval of the Environmental Charge Project 21-22, and I'll hand you back over to Councillor Stratton.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the recommendations there is that council approve the environmental charge projects for the 2021-2022 financial year for the total budget of $275,000 to undertake all projects.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Stratton, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Just a short note there on the background. Mount Isa City Council engaged the services of consultants to undertake the development of Environmental Management Plan 2020-2025. From this plan, various consultations from the community and internal stakeholders were undertaken to identify environmental issues, activities or opportunities for improvements for the Mount Isa area. 5 key themes were identified in the plan, which are natural environment, waste minimisation, water resources, environmental health and community engagement. From these themes, priority actions for council to complete were outlined. Council Environmental Charge funded the EMP and will fund the emergency charge projects. As such, an annual implementation plan was adopted to support the revenue statement for providing guidance of the management of the environmental charge funds. As a part of the annual implementation plan environmental projects for the financial year, are to be approved that align with the environmental charge policy. Requires that the correlate with the priorities actions within the EMP.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Anyone like to comment on this one? I know personally that when I heard the presentation, I wanted to get a party popper and release it. It's definitely a direction that Mount Isa community want to go. We definitely want to be greener, and the environment is very important to us. So imagine if a mining city like Mount Isa could be leading the charge on, with environmental changes. So really proud of this initiative. Very, very good. There's no other comments. All those in favour? And that's carried. All right, so this has now taken us into the infrastructure services reports in item 12 and 12.1, which is water and sewerage overview report, and I'll hand you over to Councillor Tully.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendation that Council receive and accepts the December 2021, January 2022 water and sewerage overview report.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get a seconder for that report?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. And Councillor Tully, would you like to talk on this one?
Yeah, thank you. Just with the water network, there's a valve replacement program continued through December and January in Sunset and Parkside. There was a number of large valves that have been identified and replaced, and these will be undertaken this month and next month. Last month and this month. The smart water meters, a lot of those have been installed. I think there's 500 residential meters that have been replaced up until the end of December. There's a further 1,500 will be replaced in the oncoming months. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Any other comments? I personally think, I think when we first got in, we identified that council was losing about 36% of our water supply down the creek, basically. So the work that's going on to find major leaks and fix them is really a priority for council, and it's great to see that we may have had discovered 2 sources of where the water is leaking, and we're still looking. So that's really good news. Any other comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. So that now takes us to 12.2, which is major projects overview report, and I believe this is Councillor Tully again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That Council receive and accepts the January 2022 major projects overview report as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor McRae. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Probably not, because I think you've pretty much covered all the projects in your Merrell Minute, so yeah, I'll just,
okay, sorry about that.
I'll just save it. Thank you.
Yes, it does look like I did. Sorry about that. And
good.
and I think one of the things that we're trying to do is get out to the community what's happening at council. So we are trying every avenue to sort of get that message out there. Would anyone else like to make any comments before we vote? Nope. All right. All those in favour? And that's carried. 12.3, LGGSP funding application, and I will hand over to Councillor Tully again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That Council approve the below proposed projects to apply for government funding through the Local Greens and Government Subsidies Program.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of that?
Yes, so thank you. So there's just short of 86 million funding available for new infrastructure and asset management, and there's been 3 I guess projects that have been highlighted through us, and that's the CBD construction and the aqua play equipment at Sunset Park, and Ellen Finlay Park at Camberwell. Construction of council staff housing, which I think is, to encourage people to come up here and work for the council. I think it's, that's probably been highlighted over the last few years. And the last one is the Outback at Isa detailed design, which Stafford Strategy developed a master plan, and that was completed last year, and we're going to come up with a design of what we can do in the next coming months. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tully. Any other comments on this one? No? I think I'm very excited to see aqua play equipment happening at Sunset. I know that, there's a lot of families in that area, and I'm really looking forward to having more infrastructure there for the kids. So I'm very excited of some of those proposals. Okay, so let's, if there's no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, so that now takes us to item 12.4. And again, I hand over to Councillor Tully.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendation is that Council approve the proposed funding submission for Queensland Resilience and Risk Reduction Fund and Remote Roads Upgrade Pilot Program.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of that motion?
Yes, just a quick thing. There's the Queensland Resilience and Risk Reduction Fund. There's just over 19 million program with a maximum of 2 million per project. There's no minimum contribution stated. However, council contribution would be beneficial in the application. And the second is the Remote Roads Upgrade Pilot Program. This is a 150 million program. This is federal funded and will contribute up to 80% of the project costs, with council the other 20.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Any other comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. One more before a break, and this is DRFA Mount Isa City Council tender evaluation, and I will be handing over to, just make sure I'm on the right one, Councillor Tully again.
The recommendation is that council award contracts for the disaster recovery funding arrangement work and transport infrastructure development scheme work to the following contractors: Cummins Contracting Proprietary Limited for the Gunpowder Road and Mount Oxide Road for an amount of $208,000. Halloran and Sons Earth Moving Proprietary Limited for the Camberwell Urandangi Road and Old May Downs Road for $1.59 million. Myuma Proprietary Limited for the Moorstone Road and Highland Plains Road for $1.4. Myuma Proprietary Limited for the Riversley Road for $522,000. Durack Civil Proprietary Limited, Riversley Road Pavement Improvement Stage 1 for $944, and Durack Civil Proprietary Limited for the Riversley Road Pavement Improvement Stage 2 for $569. And that council allow the CEO to negotiate funding towards Riversley Road Pavement Improvement Stage 2.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yes, I would. Therefore, it was to do with with the second part of the proposal for the CEO for the stage 2 for the contract for Dural Civil Proprietary Limited. They've submitted a pricing for the stage 2, and the tendered price is conditional of stage 2 being ordered prior to the mobilisation of stage 1. The awarding stage 2 represents a significant saving for council of approximately $275,000 due to the shared mobilisation and preliminaries. So yeah, that's the reason for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Any more comments on this one?
No.
All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. We have, for item 13, notices of motion nil. So, we are going to adjourn and reopen into confidential business. So I'd just like to thank all the members of the community and people who attended Manuel as a council meeting today. And thank you and hope to see you next meeting. to move the motion that council considers the following confidential reports in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. 14.1, internal audit financial year 22 and financial year 23 and financial year 25. 14.2, land dealings over lots 9 and 10 on MPH 13990. Could I get a seconder for that motion, please?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, councillor Barwick. All those in favour? And that's carried. council into open council.
Move, Fortune.
Thank you, councillor Fortune. Someone second that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 14.1, and councillor Tully is going to leave the room.
Leave it open. Yep, it's an open meeting, mate. You just need to.
Thank you. Okay, so would someone like to move and read the officer's recommendation, please?
Yep, sorry, through the chair, I move the recommendation that council endorse the appointment of Pacifica Chartered Accountants as internal auditor for the period FY 21-22, and that council endorse the draft scope of works for FY 21-22 internal audit project, and that council endorse the appointment of Crowe Australasia as internal auditor for the period FY 22-23 to FY 24-25.
Thank you, councillor Fortune. Seconder for that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? And that's carried. Which takes us to item 14.2, which is land dealings over lots 9 and 10 on MPH 13990. So I'll invite the councillor Tully to come back into the room, and I will be declaring a declarable conflict of interest, and I'm voluntarily leaving the room. So I'll hand over the chair to Deputy Mayor Councillor Barwick.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Okay, we've got a recommendation that council advise Ballimoya Corporation Proprietary Limited that council would like to express an interest in purchasing the land described as lots 9 and 10 on MPH 13990, and will undertake an independent valuation to be presented to council for council's consideration.
Sorry, just through the chair, can I find out what the conflict of interest was, please? Because I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Sure. There's a relationship between
Her
Young
parents,
and
Jason's parents.
and her family. Yeah.
Okay.
Through the chair, I'd like to move that recommendation, that council advise Ballimoya Corporation Company Limited, Pty Ltd, that council would like to express an interest in purchasing the land described as lots 9 and 10 on MPH 13990, and will undertake an independent valuation to be presented to council for council's consideration.
Have a seconder for that motion? Seconded, councillor Tully. Okay, any discussion, please? Oh no, we're in secret business, confidential, sorry. So I'll ask for show of hands to vote on that, please. Okay, that's carried. Thanks very much.
Well, you're still in Africa, mate.
Are we?
Is that it?
You gotta stay back, mate.
And back on me. Thank you.
I brought something up.
Well, thank you, and that actually brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. Thanks everyone for your attendance. The time is now 12:31 p.m. and I now declare the ordinary meeting closed. Thank you.
You don't have to stay for it.
Thank you.
Would we be able to move that 2 o'clock up to now?
Yeah,
The post? Yes.
Oh, okay.
I might just
Straight away.